Hello and welcome to another episode of Thick Slices and Deep Cuts. On this evening's show, I will be discussing and ranking the albums of the Deftones. They have 10 albums in total. The first one came out 30 years ago in 1995, and they just released their 10th album this year in 2025. So 30 years of releasing albums to this point, 10 in total. I will rank them, but it's tough to rank these. So I will just go chronologically through the discography, and I will assess a number to each album, but I don't think the album ranking is as important as just going through their whole discography, because you basically got 10 albums that are all really good to great. And in fact, I think that they basically have 5 classics. You could probably argue that they have more than that, or some of the ones that maybe ranked 6 through 10 are considered classics, by other people. So, but the Deftones, they formed in Sacramento, California. You've got Chino Moreno, incredibly gifted vocalist. You've got Steph Carpenter on guitar, just doing whatever it takes to make a song work on the guitar. You've got Abe Cunningham on the drums, and originally you had Chi Cheng on bass for 5 of these albums. And you've had Frank Delgado as a quiet keyboard player. He's not a keyboard player, he's just kind of a guy adding textures and little synth effects, which is great. He's real subtle and just kind of fills in the sound. And he didn't become an official member until around their 3rd album, but he is on their first 2 albums. So he's basically been there the whole way as well. And as we go along, we'll talk about not many lineup changes at all, just mainly in the bass department, but we'll get to that later. But I'll try and keep things moving here since we have a lot of ground to cover. 10 albums, and I have 7 of these. 7 of these physical copies. And so we will start with album number 1. Kind of a goofy cover. This was kind of the beginning of this whole nu metal thing that they got lumped into, but that cover, Adrenaline, and this one I have at number 6. It's either going to be a classic for people because it was the first one, or it might be the last one just because the production here is maybe not as great as some of the other productions to come. You've got Terry Date producing here. So Terry Date, I knew him from like doing Metal Church, some Overkill. I'm sure he did some other bands that I'm not thinking of right now, but those were a couple that come to mind. He produces here, but this has got a cool, fresh, at the time, a really nice, fresh sound. It's, I don't know, it's like a skater punk, whatever kind of album. They kind of got lumped in with Korn, because both bands were from California, came out pretty much the same time. And I don't know if they had a similar sound, but they had like a similar heaviness or something like it. But you could see them touring together. But this one, I ranked 6th. It's kind of a classic to me because at one point it was all I knew. And, Bored, there was a video for that. 7 Words, there was definitely a video for that. I think all these songs, even though the band may say, oh, that was kind of just a starting point, I think all these songs are at least good, if not really good. Its finish is strong. Engine number 9 into Fire Real. Hidden track, I think it's called Fist, which was actually not produced by Terry Date, but by Ross Robinson, who did those early Korn albums. So there's the tie in there, but I like this album. It's ranked 6th. This was a tough one to rank for a lot of reasons. 1, I think it's kind of a classic, and 2, I think it's, maybe the roughest production, the guitar tone, mainly. And, these guys have not realized their full potential yet, but it's still a really good album. And I saw them on tour. The only time I've ever seen them live was in 96, maybe 97. It was before the next album came out. And it was in a huge venue. They were opening for White Zombie, and Pantera was the ultimate headliner. But there you go, their debut album, Adrenaline, from 1995, coming in at number 6. Okay, you move forward to 1997. They put out their 2nd album. I got the rough cover, tape, the cracked case, the whole thing. Around the Fur. As much as I like their debut album, when I got this, I was like, wow, this is so much better sounding than the first one. So much heavier, everything. It's just everything improved here. So this is a classic. Falls into the classic category. Today I have it at number 4. It could be number 2, number 1, but the guitar tone definitely much heavier. I don't know if they down-tuned a little bit here, but you've got all bangers on here. My Own Summer, which kind of know more as Shove It. Mascara, good mellow one. The title track, Be Quiet and Drive, is super catchy. I always thought like people refer to them as alternative metal, whatever these labels are. But the heavy, and then Chino's voice and the melodies that go with the really heavy craziness. But you know, I had a lot of friends that always loved like early Smashing Pumpkins, like Siamese Dream and all that, and I liked it, but I just wish it was had a little bit more kick to it, or a better vocalist, or whatever you want to call it. And I feel like a song like that is exactly what the Deftones bring. They bring way better vocals, way heavier guitars. Just they're taking that sort of that vibe of those early Pumpkins, that early Pumpkin style, and they're like really making it good. A song like that is an example of that. Head Up, super heavy one, and I believe Max Cavalera is on there doing some vocals, maybe in the background, maybe Yellen doing the Riot vocals, a little bit of guitar in there. But this one's a classic. More production by Terry Date here, so they go back to Terry, who dials it in for them. Everybody's getting better here. The guitars are way better. Chino seems to be better. The grooves on the drums from Abe are getting better. So everything's working here. So their second album from 1997, today coming in at number 4, but basically a go-to classic. I think they probably still play, a few of these songs on their live sets. So it's still recognized by everybody as one of their best albums. Okay, number 3. Well, it's not number 3. Their third album from from 2000. So we move ahead 3 years here. Still have Terry Date on vocals. Look at this album cover. White Pony. So White Pony's coming in. I've got it at number 5, but I probably listened to this the most in just kind of getting familiar with everything for this show. So coming in at number 5, but it's a classic, and it was my number 1 listen to album over the last few weeks here. It's just another nice, it's basically the Deftones just continuing to do their thing, but it's just getting better. So these first 3 albums, for sure, it's just them getting better. Terry Date, still the producer, same lineup, just doing their thing, but doing it better each time. Back to School, Digital Bath, a classic. Elite, one of those just rude, like Head Up or Engine Number 9, one of these rude songs, but they've got it way up in the list. RX Queen or Drug Queen, catchy, kind of gritty. Scott Weiland the late Scott Weiland of Stone Temple Pilots is apparently doing some background vocals on that one. Knife Party, Korea, really heavy. Passenger, you got Maynard from Tool. The vocals on that make that song. Change in the House of Flies. Pretty sure there was a video for that. It seems like at least a song that you will see them play live. And again, I think they represent this album pretty strongly at the live shows too. So another one with Terry Date. Now You're at 2000. This band is just continuing to make their mark. In fact, after this album, I think they've kind of cemented themselves at this point early on, after 3 albums, as a legitimate, a band with a legitimate legacy forming as we speak. So just a classic, possibly the coolest album. Like, that cover is ridiculous, but that's kind of what they do. They kind of throw you off with some of the imagery, make you think one thing, and then they, you look at that cover and you think whatever, and then they crush you over the head with Elite and Knife Party and Korea and things like that. But just a cool album. Again, why do I have it at number 5? It could be a number 1, but it's definitely in the classic camp of these albums. So coming in at number 5, their third album from 2000, White Pony. Okay, so we move ahead 3 more years. We still have Terry Date doing the productions. Same lineup, so still the same exact lineup in the studio, the whole 9 yards. We've got the self-titled Deftones album. Again, it sounds like Deftones. They're just kind of doing their thing. The productions are getting smoother, less gritty though. And there's something about the grit of those first 3 that I kind of like. In this one, they're smoothing it out. Not a classic for me. I like it, but I'm ranking it 7. Hexagram's pretty good. Needles and Pins is pretty good. That Needles and Pins sounds like something from Around the Fur. I don't know how he grabbed that same guitar tone or something, but it really vibes just like that. Minerva, I remember this one. The video for it at night and the same. It kind of reminded me of that Pink Floyd video live at Pompeii when they were playing at night. The camera coming up over the soundboard and that whole thing. Good Morning Beautiful. Again, one of these titles that's misleading because it's got a pretty cool, catchy chorus. Death Blows, good. It's kind of chill. Another nighttime type song with like a harmonica effect. When Girls Telephone Boys. Another one where the title is so misleading. But man, there's a big old riff. And that's another thing. I think Steph Carpenter at this point is incorporating down-tuned guitars. I read where they said he started incorporating them around the White Pony era, but I don't recall hearing any extended range guitars on that album. But on here you're starting to hear the extended range guitars, especially on a song like that. And then it's good, but I think after that maybe Battle Axe is okay. Lucky You's weird. Like it kind of fades and becomes a little less memorable on the back half. So the first half is pretty strong. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, the first 6 songs are really strong, and then after that, I don't know. It's pretty good. I don't think it did as well for them. I think their momentum stalled here a little bit, at least for one album. So I don't think it was terrible. And again, this isn't a terrible album. I like it. Compared to the other ones, it's not as classic to me, but still a strong album. They're trying to bring back that type of logo. So it's a good album. It's another one with Terry Date. So now we're 4 albums in, and we have the exact same lineup and team making these albums, and they're starting to lose that grit in favor of just a more polished production, which makes sense. But I don't think it's as classic as the first 3. So there you go. Their 4th album from 2003 coming in at 7. Still a really good album. The self-titled Deftones. Okay, I said I own 7 of these, so that means 3 of these albums I do not own. And this one from 2006, I'll put a picture up. It's called Saturday Night Wrist, whatever that means. And the cover's pretty provocative there, but this one I had trouble trying to figure out where to rank this. This was, I'm putting it today at number 8. I had it at different times 8, 9, or 10 because it's the most experimental album. Very weird. No more Terry Date for an album. They bring in Bob Ezrin. So Bob Ezrin helped Pink Floyd with The Wall. I think he helped Kiss with Destroyer. I think he's done a lot. He's done a lot of these big time albums. So he comes in, and I think Deftones were like, "Hey, that last album didn't keep the momentum going. So we need something here. We need to try something different." Bob Ezrin comes in. I remember seeing the video for Hole in the Earth and being like, "Wow, they've really, evolved their style here." I don't know if they're necessarily going in a different direction, but this is different from any Deftones I've heard up to this point. But then you go through the album and it's still good. It's still, in my opinion, it's not a classic, but I really appreciate that they brought in a different producer, tried different things. Beware is a pretty good song I like on there. Rapture's weird, helter-skelter, but that's part of the experimentalism. Cherry Waves, I kind of like. I don't love it, but I do like it. I think they still play that one live. There is one song I really can't stand. It's called Pink Cell Phone. Apparently they have an edited version. I almost wish I had the edited version that I've been listening to. And then they have like an instrumental that really doesn't go anywhere. I think the final track is kind of mellow and forgettable. They've got Kim Dracula's good. A couple songs. Xerxes is pretty good. So it's still kind of got that sound, the Deftones sound for sure, but they definitely are stretching in spots and certainly stretching on certain songs. Mine, M-E-I-N. Mine is a weird one, but it's got Serge Tankin from System of a Down putting his weird vocals on there. So they still do well in getting these good guest appearances from, whether it's Maynard from Tool or Weiland from STP or Max Cavalera or whoever, they still are getting these good guest appearances. And when Serge comes on, he's unmistakable. That's the other great thing about the people they pick. You know who it is as soon as you hear them. So Saturday Night Wrist is kind of a mixed bag. It's mostly good, and it still sounds mostly like Deftones, but they definitely experimented here. It's their weirdest album. But not too terribly weird. You could still get into it. But I'm going to put it at number 8 for today. Still a good album. Not a classic in my opinion. And so then that came out in 2006. Now you go 4 more years. You move forward to 2010. And the reason there was a 4-year gap is because their bass player, Chi, was involved in a nasty car accident while they were in the process of making an album called Eros, E-R-O-S, where they brought Terry Date back in to do this album. But Chi goes through what he went through. I guess he's in a coma, I'm not sure, but more on that in a little bit. But he was out of the band at this point. He literally was unable to perform. And so for whatever reason, the band, and I've heard they had like a half of an album. So I think people are like, release the unreleased album, release this album, Eros, and they're like, it was demos, it was like 5 songs. And Abe even said, he's like, I think we took parts of those songs and turned them into other things. So I think the album isn't really an album, and anything you want to hear has already been somewhat reworked. So they scratched the Eros album. I think that was around 2008. And then you move forward to 2010. They've got a new bass player, Sergio Vega. And now they've got a new producer, not Terry Date, and they didn't go back to Bob Ezrin, but they go with Nick Raskulinecz, who at that point I think had done, I know he had done the Alice in Chains album, Black Gives Way to Blue, which is great. That's a classic album. So they get him, and they put out Diamond Eyes, which I have at number 3, but again, just a total classic. Best production. Steph Carpenter now is using 8-string guitars. So they had down-tuned previously. Now they're really down-tuned. It's really pronounced. And what a weapon that is. And it goes well with Chino's like sort of alternative crooning type stuff with the melodic vocals. So get Diamond Eyes comes out hard. By the way, every song on there, you can just hit play. Command Control's got a weird slamming 8-string riff, but then it's got this cool, catchy chorus. You've Seen the Butcher, just another like weird tempo-y. I guess it's an odd time signature. I don't think they're trying to, trip you up, but they are trying to kind of keep you going like, wow, what a interesting rhythm. Beauty School is so cool. And again, they have songs like that are just, you've got these heavy 8-string songs, and then you go into these like really chill melodic ones that it's just a great back and forth. Prince heavy. Rocket Skates is really heavy, weird rhythm on that one. Sex Tape, in spite of the name of the song, really nice melodic light song, and one of my favorites. And that's another thing that they started doing right around here, is they started making some of their best mellow make-out song type songs. And I think like Beauty School and Sex Tape, these are suddenly, you've got this new element of the band. So they're introducing these elements here and there, and on this album they introduce a lot of good stuff. Risk 976 Evil, don't be fooled by the name. That's another good one, kind of like Beauty School or something like that. So this whole album is just full of bangers, just full of all good songs. And I can't say enough about Nick Raskulinecz and his production. I mean, we love the Terry Date stuff. Those first 3 albums that Terry produced, you know, all that stuff is good. Classic to near classic. But man, Nick really dials it in, and I think it helps that Steph brought out the 8-string. Abe's getting better at the grooves. Not that he wasn't already, but the rhythms are getting more evolved. And Chino just continues to up his game. Add whatever he can to make these songs work. So I don't know why I'm ranking it 3. It's kind of like a number 1, but just a total classic. One that I listened to a ton. Diamond Eyes for 2010, coming in at number 3. All right. So we move ahead 2 years now. And the same team that did Diamond Eyes, so that's the same band with Sergio on bass and Nick Raskulinecz as the producer. They come back with Koi no Yokan. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Again, one of my favorites. I got it at 2 today. But just another banger. And these are a pair. These 2 albums to me are just, you can just connect them, and they're definitely a pair of albums. Swerve City, what a great way to open it. More just heavy guitars, but then, you know, like Leathers and Poltergeist. But then Entombed, not the band from Sweden, but Entombed is just maybe their best written song. Again, just another like chill, melodic. Like it doesn't really matter what genre they're from. They just the song just stands on its own. It doesn't matter if you like this music or not. Your parents would like that song. But you know, it just on and on. Gauze is heavy. Rosemary, one of my favorites. Their most epic. So much atmosphere on that one. So this album, to me, it's, you know, Diamond Eyes may have 1 or 2 more songs that you like, but the ones on here that you like are just like, wow. It's like Deftones, the sound of Deftones realized to its fullest potential. You know, Swerve City, Entombed, Rosemary, those are like 3 of my top 7 songs they've ever done. So it really, and it's good all the way through, but it's just the ones that are really good are the best. And again, Nick Raskulinecz on the production, so good. Just a classic. I listened to these 2 a ton. But I didn't have to listen to them a ton for this review because I already do. So I probably listened to White Pony the most. But, so there you go. Koi no Yokan from 2012, coming in at number 2. All right, now you move ahead 4 years. I believe the next album came out in 2016. And in between that time, Chi Chang did succumb to his injuries from the car accident in 08, so I believe he died in 2013. And so Sergio Vega is, at this point, definitely your bass player moving forward. So the next album from 2016 is called Gore. I don't own it. Listened to it plenty for this review. Listened to it when it first came out. I'm ranking it, what did I put it at? 9? I got it at 9 of 10. I don't know. I like it. The production isn't as good as the previous albums. At least the previous 2. So the producer on this is Matt Hyde, and then I guess the Deftones guys themselves, they kind of produced and engineered this. But Matt Hyde was an engineer on the Koi no Yokan sessions with Nick Raskulinecz. So I guess either they couldn't get Nick or they wanted to go in a different direction, so they got the engineer from Koi. It doesn't sound nearly as... The production is not as good as those previous 2 albums. But it's not terrible, and the songs kind of remind me of those albums. So if you like Diamond Eyes and Koi and you want more of that, I guess you could go to Gore, because those songs in a lot of ways, you still got the 8-string guitars that were introduced, and it doesn't sound too experimental or anything like that. So it kind of fits in with those 2 other albums, except the production. You can tell it's like, this is a different session. And I think it starts well with Prayers, Triangles, Doomed User, you know, Hearts, Wires, LMIRL, I think is the name of the song, and Phantom Bride at the end, which apparently Jerry Cantrell puts a little guitar solo work to that. So how cool is that? You've got the main guy from Alice in Chains coming in to lay some guitar work on an album. So I'm ranking it 9, mainly just because of the production. There are a few songs that are somewhat forgettable, but the songs that are good are still classic, are still really good. And I think at this point, it just doesn't feel like a classic album. I think up to this point, most of these albums were doing something to the sound. They were evolving the sound. And so they were either classic or they meant something to the band sound. Like Saturday Night Wrist, I ranked low, but it introduced new things. They were trying new things. So I thought that was pretty cool. With this one, I think you're not really getting to any new ground at this point. You're getting a slightly lesser production. The set list of songs is good. It's not as deep as the previous 2 albums, and they're not doing anything super new. So that's probably why I'm putting it at 9, although I do really enjoy the album, because Deftones don't put out bad albums. So Gore I have from 2016, different producer. I've got that one coming in at 9. And then the other album I don't own, as we move ahead now 5 years to 2020, it's called Ohms. And they bring back Terry Date to produce. Probably a good decision. I'm not sure what happened on the last album. Not that it was terrible, but if you're really wanting to make an impact, you got to have a better production than the previous one. And so they bring back Terry Date, who had done the first 4 albums. And this album sounds polished. It's smooth. It's easy to listen to. But that's also the problem. And that's why I have it coming in at number 10 is, again, I don't really feel like they're getting to any new ground here, which isn't the end of the world, but there's no, somebody I heard or read said something about there's no urgency on this album, and that's the truth. There's no angst, there's no like craziness or just off the rails type stuff of those early albums, or just the impact of the first time you heard the 8-string on those Diamond and Coy albums with Nick Raskulinecz as the producer, and they were firing on all cylinders. I think they are kind of firing on all cylinders here, but they're just a veteran band at this point that knows how to, with a good producer in the modern technology. It was good that they brought Terry Date back, but this is just a nice sounding album that doesn't blow me away, although I can't tell you that any of the tracks are bad. Genesis, Ceremony, The Spell of Mathematics, Error, plenty of good tracks on here, and I do like the album a lot. It's the one I'm the least familiar with. I listened to it probably 5 times for this show, but it's the only album since they started that I never listened to during its album cycle. I listened to all the other ones when they came out at least a little bit, or knew like the lead track, or listened to the album and just, like Gore, just didn't know what to think of it at the time. I definitely appreciate it more now, but with Ohms, I never listened to it when it came out, so I have almost zero connection to it, other than it's a really fine album, and I just don't know where to put it in this ranking, and so it kind of gets bullied all the way to the bottom, because you're just trying to fit everything else into a spot, and so Ohms comes all the way to 10. I don't think it's a bad album at all, but it just doesn't have the aggression or urge. It doesn't have some grit or something. Something is missing from it. Or maybe just, it hasn't been around long enough to become a classic, or it's just never going to be a classic in my eyes like those first 3 albums, or something along those lines. But so Ohms I have coming in at number 10, but still a really good album. And if you have 10 albums and your 10th of 10 albums is Ohms, you're a damn good band. And that leads me to their most recent album that just came out here in 2025. I do own this one. It is called Private Music. And they brought Nick Raskulinecz back from those 2 classic albums before. They put out Private Music, and I have this at number 1. Maybe over time I could change my mind, but I don't know. This album sounds damn good. Damn good. My Mind is a Mountain, Locked Club, Infinite Source, Souvenir. Oh, back to those songs like Entombed and Sex Tape and those. You've got I Think About You All the Time. Just another great, what I think Abe Cunningham said that he calls them makeout songs. Just another good one of those. Milk of the Madonna, Cut Hands. Departing the Body is really good. Great way to end it. And probably the best use of Frank Delgado doing the like the textural keys, just kind of filling in the sound. He does a great job on there. I love it when guys like that, they don't play all the craziness. They just kind of help add to the sound with like a little bit of ear candy here and there. So in this ranking, basically my top 3 albums were the 3 Nick Raskulinec's albums. I don't know what it is that he does, or if he's just, I've heard he's a really nice guy to work with, and he's obviously talented at capturing performances and capturing a good sound and good mix. But man, he seems to bring the best out of Deftones. So I would encourage them to continue to use him if they can. I love Terry. Terry Date's great, but you know, seems like Nick seems to get a little bit more out of him, but you know, maybe they just brought a better set of songs to the table for this one too. I know Steph said he was going through some health problems with diabetes, and he said Chino really stepped up for this album. So good for Chino, who's one of the best vocalists out there, one of the best lead men. Nobody quite like him. So there you go. I've got Private Music coming in at 1. So to go through them one more time here, coming in at their first album, coming in at number 6, I've got Adrenaline. Their second album, Around the Fur from '97, I have at 4. Their third album, White Pony from 2000, I have at 5. The self-titled Deftones from '03, I have at 7. Saturday Night Wrist, got at 8. Diamond Eyes, I have at 3. Koi no Yokan, I've got at 2. Gore, I have at 9. Ohms, I have at 10. And then Private Music, the latest one, I do have at number 1. They did release, well, they released a couple of things, but in '05 they did a B-Sides and Rarities, which is like a few of their songs done acoustically, and then just a bunch of covers that are not heavy, I don't think, or at least I haven't really listened to too much of it, so maybe they've heavied up some of the covers, but I looked at the artists that they covered, and so it doesn't look like something that would be something I'd be too excited about, but maybe I could be wrong. Then they did a covers album for Record Day in 2011, which has a lot of that stuff, but a few new covers as well. So I think that covers it. But again, Deftones, just, I was going to say they're underrated. Maybe in my world of listening to like all this stuff on the walls here, they kind of don't fit into any of those categories, but I got to tell you, I've been listening to them since day one, and I just think they have a sound all their own, and I think that's what you want out of an artist or a band, is you don't really want to think about labels. You just want a band that has their sound. Like Typo Negative back there. Like them or not, they bring their sound to the table. They don't really sound like anybody but themselves. So I love it when bands just carve out their own thing. So, and the Deftones have definitely done that, and they have consistently put out awesome albums for 30 years, 10 of them to be exact. So I think that's going to do it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.